Usually, when we talk about preparing for a job interview, the advice we get is like incredibly generic.
Oh, completely.
It's honestly like trying to bake this really complex, delicate souffle, and the only instruction on the recipe card is use eggs.
Right. Yeah, just use eggs. Good luck.
Exactly. You are told to, be yourself or dress for success or research the company. And I mean, it sounds nice, but it leaves you staring at a blank wall.
Wondering what actual concrete steps you're supposed to take.
Right, like at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday, what do I actually do to get ready? But today, on this deep dive, we aren't looking at generic advice.
Not at all.
We are looking at an exact blueprint. Specifically, our mission today is to unpack a Bank of America interview preparation sheet.
Which is such a goldmine for anyone listening.
It really is. This is the precise framework a major financial institution uses to transition someone from being a mere applicant, which is, let's face it, basically just a name floating in a digital resume pile.
Just a PDF in a folder.
Yeah, exactly. Transitioning them from that to a high potential candidate.
And, this document is fascinating because it is not some leaked internal HR memo.
Oh, right. It's public.
Bank of America actively distributes this to candidates. They are literally handing you the playbook before the game even begins.
Which begs the question, why? Why give away the answers to the test?
Well, they do this because of a very harsh reality in the corporate environment, which is time constraints.
Yeah.
When you finally land that interview, you might only have 30, maybe 45 minutes on the calendar.
It's a really tight window.
It is. And if the interviewer has to spend the first 15 minutes of that just explaining the basic machinery of what the company does.
What the specific division actually handles.
Exactly. If they have to do that, you have both wasted incredibly valuable time.
Right.
So they expect you to possess a baseline operational understanding of the company before you even log into that WebEx.
So doing this level of preparation really acts as a filter, then.
Yeah, and it allows the actual interview to skip those introductory pleasantries and immediately become a substantive, high-level business conversation.
Okay, so it's entirely about maximizing the return on investment for those 30 minutes.
Precisely.
So let's jump into the first phase of this blueprint. This is, let's call it the terrain mapping phase.
I like that.
Because before you can even begin to talk about yourself, you have to understand the specific ecosystem you are trying to enter.
You have to know the lay of the land.
Right. And the very first piece of terrain the document asks you to map out is the cornerstone of their entire culture. It asks you to look at their mission statement.
Which is very specific.
It is. It says helping to make financial lives better through the power of every connection.
Yeah, and that phrasing is highly intentional.
Helping to make financial lives better.
Right, through the power of every connection. It establishes the foundational logic of the entire institution.
How so?
Well, it shifts the focus away from just, accumulating capital.
Hmm.
And it places it firmly on the outcome for the client using the mechanism of connectivity.
Okay. So it's not just about the money, it's about the connection.
Exactly. And every subsequent piece of research you do should be filtered through that exact lens.
Oh, I see.
Like, let's say you are interviewing for a back-end software engineering role. You need to ask yourself, how does my code make a financial life better?
Right. Tying it back to the mission.
Yeah. Or if you are applying for wealth management, how are you actively leveraging connections to secure a client's future? You have to anchor your entire narrative to their core philosophy.
And to figure out how that philosophy operates in the real world, the document provides a very specific checklist of research channels.
It really doesn't leave you guessing.
No, it doesn't just say, Google us and see what comes up.
Right.
They want you reading the latest financial report from Investor Relations.
Which is dense, but necessary.
Totally. They want you searching for Bank of America in recent news to see how the market is currently reacting to them.
You need to know the current events.
But the instruction that really stood out to me is a mandate to specifically look up Brian Moynihan, the president of Bank of America, on YouTube.
Yeah, that's a brilliant piece of advice.
Why is that better than just reading an interview with him?
Well, reading a quote from a CEO in a sanitized press release just gives you the corporate line,
Oh, sure. It's very polished.
Exactly. But watching them speak on video provides an entirely different layer of intelligence.
Like body language and stuff.
Body language, but also when you watch a town hall presentation or an interview on a financial news network, you are absorbing their tone, their pacing.
Their immediate priorities.
Right. You see what makes them lean forward.
Right.
You notice which metrics they emphasize when they talk about the bank's future and which topics they tend to quickly pivot away from.
So you're internalizing how they operate.
You are fundamentally internalizing the rhythm of their leadership, which you can then subtly echo in your own conversations.
So that makes total sense. But capturing the CEO's rhythm from a YouTube video is just the view from the top of the mountain.
Right, it's the big picture.
To actually prove you belong there, you have to understand the machinery on the ground floor.
The day-to-day operations.
And that's where this massive on-demand series comes in. The worksheet lists a huge curriculum of videos candidates are expected to review.
It's practically a syllabus.
It really is. You have high-level overviews like behind the scenes, Bank of America. You have deep dives into corporate responsibility, like how we deliver ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance.
Which, by the way, is a crucial concept to grasp.
Yeah, I imagine just expanding the acronym isn't going to cut it.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
In a modern corporate banking context, ESG is essentially how the bank proves it is operating ethically and sustainably. It is a massive metric for modern investors. It involves assessing risk based on climate change impacts, scrutinizing labor practices within supply chains, and ensuring transparent corporate leadership.
So it's heavily tied to risk management.
Exactly. Understanding ESG means understanding how the bank evaluates the long-term viability of where it puts its money.
Wow, okay. And beyond the overarching corporate strategies like ESG, the video list drills down into highly specific division guides.
The 101 series.
Yeah, they have Banking 101, Consumer, Small Business and Digital Banking 101, Corporate Functions 101, Global Markets 101, Technology and Operations 101, and Wealth Management 101.
It covers everything.
Plus practical skill guides like Network Like a Pro and Acing the Virtual Interview. But wait, let me push back here for a second.
Go for it.
If I'm listening to this and I'm, say, a senior finance major, I just spent 4 years of my life and a lot of tuition money studying global markets and corporate structures.
You feel like you know it.
Sitting down to watch a Global Markets 101 video feels like a massive waste of time. I already know this stuff backwards and forwards. Why on earth do I need to sit through a basic overview?
I get that, but here's the thing. Because you know the academic theory of global markets, you do not know Bank of America's specific language for it.
Oh, I see.
Those videos aren't there to teach you general finance principles. They're there to teach you a proprietary dialect.
Like their specific jargon.
Exactly. You might understand the mechanics of a derivatives trade, but you need to know how Bank of America's specific ecosystem views that function.
How their teams are structured.
Yes, how they execute it, and what internal metrics they use to measure success. If you're interviewing for technology and operations, you aren't learning how servers work.
Right.
You are learning Bank of America's unique approach to scaling their specific tech infrastructure. You have to learn to speak BOFA.
Learn to speak BOFA. I like that. And the worksheet pushes you to take that fluency even further, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
It tells candidates to build their business acumen using handshakes firsthand, which people might remember as the old Vault guides, and to actively tap into their University Career Services Center.
Essential resources.
And then it suggests conducting 1 or 2 informational interviews with alumni or contacts within the industry.
And that right there is key, because speaking with the locals is the ultimate way to master any dialect.
The unwritten rules.
Exactly. An informational interview with a current employee or a recent alum gives you the unwritten rules of the organization.
The stuff that's not in the official videos?
Right. It provides the daily texture of the job that a formal HR document simply cannot capture. You get to hear about the actual pace of the work, the informal expectations of the managers, and the reality of the culture.
So it's verifying your research.
It is all about verifying your academic and online research with a live, human source who is currently navigating the exact terrain you want to enter.
So the entirety of phase 1 is really outward-looking. You are absorbing the company, the culture, the leadership, and the dialect.
Absorbing everything you can.
But absorbing information doesn't get you the job. We have to move to phase 2, which is all about what we're calling the mirror effect.
The mirror effect.
Yeah, because once you've scouted their terrain, you have to prove you actually belong on it. You have to take everything you just learned about their needs and reflect it back using your own personal history.
And this transition is where a staggering number of candidates fail.
Really? How so?
They walk into the room with a fantastic resume, and they've done their research on the company, but they expect the interviewer to connect the dots.
Ah, they just list their achievements.
Yeah, they never build the bridge between their past and the company's structure, but this worksheet prevents that failure by forcing you through a highly structured, almost rigid mapping exercise.
Okay, let's talk about the mechanics of that mapping. The document has a section that asks for your relevant experience, coursework, software and certifications, and student clubs.
Standard resume stuff so far.
Right. But it also explicitly highlights related experiential learning. It specifically asks you to pull examples from case competitions, team projects, and treks.
Highlighting experiential learning is vital
Why is that specifically called out?
because it bridges the massive gap between academic theory and practical execution. I mean, it's one thing to get an A on a finance exam. It's another to actually execute a strategy.
Yeah, totally different things.
A case competition shows you can solve simulated, messy corporate problems under a strict deadline while managing team dynamics.
What about a trek? For anyone listening who hasn't done one, what is that?
A trek, which is when a group of students physically travels to visit company offices, walk the trading floors, and shadow professionals, that shows proactive engagement.
Oh, okay, so it shows initiative.
It proves to the interviewer that you don't just passively read about the industry in your dorm room. You actively seek out the physical reality of the work.
Okay, so you take all the specific experiences, the treks, the coursework, the software skills, and you use them to build what we can call a technical map.
Right.
The worksheet explicitly tells the candidate. A great way to do this is to take specific job responsibilities and relate how you meet the needs of the role.
It's very direct.
And then it provides exactly 3 blank blocks. Job responsibility 1, job responsibility 2, and job responsibility 3.
Just 3.
Yeah. For each one, you have to write out how I meet the needs of this responsibility.
So it forces you to dig into the job posting.
Exactly. You have to physically go to the job listing on campus.bankofamerica.com, pull 3 specific bullet points from the job description, and write a concrete defense for each one.
I love this part.
Think of the recruiter's brain like a heavily guarded spam filter, right? If you just dump your entire chronological life story on them, you go straight to the spam folder.
It's just too much unstructured data.
Right. But if you take their exact 3 job requirements and you attach your specific case study or software certification directly to those requirements, you bypass the filter.
You are doing the cognitive math for them.
Exactly.
That is a masterclass in alignment. By restricting you to exactly 3 responsibilities, it forces curation. You cannot ramble.
You have to be concise.
You are explicitly stating, you have a problem, you need X, Y, and Z. Here is the exact verifiable proof that I have successfully executed X, Y, and Z in the past.
It's so clean.
It completely reduces the cognitive load on the interviewer. They don't have to guess if your background in debate club translates to client presentations because you have explicitly mapped the communication skills from debate directly to their requirement for client onboarding.
Okay, so you have your technical map locked in, but the document also forces you to build a behavioral blueprint.
The soft skill side.
Yeah, these are the specific elevator pitch points you must have fully prepared before you ever open your mouth.
What's on the list?
The suggestions include having a tight answer for why this role, a specific strength you possess, an example of a difficult situation you navigated, an example of a time you went above and beyond, and finally, your career goals and where you'd like to go within the bank.
The comprehensiveness of that list is what makes it so effective.
It covers a lot of ground.
It covers every major psychological indicator an employer cares about. Why this role tests your baseline motivation.
Sure.
The difficult situation tests your emotional intelligence and performance under pressure. Going above and beyond tests your intrinsic initiative like, will you only do exactly what you are told? Or will you find ways to add value?
And the career goals.
Asking where you want to go within the bank tests your longevity. They're looking to make a long-term investment in a professional, not just hand a paycheck to someone looking for a 6-month resume builder.
Okay, but we have to talk about the one point on that list that makes everyone sweat.
Oh, I know the one.
The worksheet specifically says you need to prepare to talk about your, quote, weakness and how you work to overcome it.
The classic trap question.
Right. I hear this and I immediately roll my eyes. I mean, is anyone actually honest in an interview when asked about a weakness?
Usually no.
The instinct is always to offer a humble brag. You say, oh, my biggest weakness is that I just work too hard, or I'm such a perfectionist that I drive myself crazy.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Is it really that bad?
If you offer a humble brag like, I'm a perfectionist, you are fundamentally misunderstanding the purpose of the question, and you are failing the test.
Really?
Yes. Look closely at the specific phrasing Bank of America uses in the document.
No.
Weakness and how you work to overcome it.
Okay.
They are not looking for a fatal character flaw, and they certainly aren't trying to trick you into admitting you are secretly terrible at financial modeling.
So what are they testing?
They're explicitly testing for two highly valuable traits: extreme self-awareness and a proactive growth mindset.
So how does that actually play out in a real answer? If I don't use the fake weakness, but I obviously don't want to sound incompetent, what is the middle ground there?
Okay, let's break down the tiers of answers. A terrible answer is the fake weakness, like "I care too much." It shows zero self-awareness and honestly inserts the interviewer's intelligence.
Right, it's patronizing.
A mediocre answer is stating a real weakness, but leaving it hanging, like, "I really struggle with public speaking."
Okay, honest but unhelpful.
Exactly. You've shown self-awareness, but you've offered no solution. Now, a great answer, the exact kind of answer this worksheet is guiding you toward, diagnoses the issue, and immediately provides the treatment plan.
The treatment plan, I like that.
You say, "Early in my college career, I found I really struggled to present complex data clearly to non-technical audiences. I would get bogged down in the math. To overcome this, I joined a debate club to practice speaking on my feet. I spent the last semester mastering data visualization software. Now, I ensure my analysis is always backed by clean, accessible graphics."
Oh, wow, that's good. You identify a crack in your own armor, and you show them the exact tools you use to forge the repair.
Exactly.
You are showing them you know how to upgrade your own software without a manager having to hold your hand.
And that proves you are coachable and resilient. And once you have that technical map and your behavioral blueprint fully dialed in, you enter the final phase of the framework:
Execution.
execution in the room and the immediate aftermath.
Right, because all the meticulous preparation in the world is totally useless if you freeze up when the actual conversation starts.
Exactly.
The document gives incredibly clear instructions on how to handle the room or the WebEx screen. It heavily emphasizes preparing questions prior to the interview.
Very important.
It actually gives you 3 numbered slots to write them down so you don't forget them under pressure. But the genius part of the document is right below that.
The blank box.
Yes. There is a large empty box labeled "Questions generated during interview." And in parentheses, it prompts you. What did the interviewer say that you want to follow up on?
That empty box represents a profoundly important shift in how you should view the interview process.
How so?
Well, an interview cannot be a one-way interrogation where they ask a question, you recite a map answer, and you wait in silence for the next prompt.
Right, that's so robotic.
If you reach the end of the meeting and you only ask the 3 rigid questions you prepared the night before, it shows you were just passively waiting for your turn to speak. The questions generated during interview box is a physical reminder to practice aggressive, active listening.
And active listening is practically impossible to fake. You can't just nod and smile. You actually have to process their words in real time.
And when you synthesize their words and turn them into a follow-up question, the dynamic completely changes.
Do you have an example?
Sure. Imagine saying, you mentioned earlier that your division is pivoting toward AI-driven risk assessment. How is that technological shift changing the day-to-day workflow for a junior analyst on your team?
Oh, that's a great question.
In that moment, you stop being an applicant begging for a job. You become a peer. You are 2 professionals discussing a mutual business interest and navigating a shared industry challenge.
You are proving you can operate on their level before they even hire you. So, you've listened actively, you've naturally woven in your elevator pitch points, and you've clearly mapped your skills to their 3 bullet points. The interview is wrapping up.
Time to close.
But before you log off or walk out the door, the worksheet tells you to gather some final critical intelligence.
Yes, the post-interview steps.
Under a section titled Post-Interview Next Steps, it instructs you to ask 2 specific things. When will I hear back? And if I advance to the next round, what will that look like?
Don't leave without asking those.
It also tells you to note down any items you need to follow up on during that potential next round.
This is just standard high-level project management applied to your own career.
Right.
You're establishing a clear timeline and defining the deliverables for the next phase of the professional relationship. Doing this removes the agonizing anxiety of waiting by the phone because you have set clear mutual expectations.
But the work absolutely does not end when you close the laptop. The document is incredibly strict about the final step.
With the follow-up.
Yes. Under post-interview to-dos, there is a checkbox that demands thank you notes sent on the day of my interview to each interviewer.
Crucial detail.
It also explicitly recommends customizing those notes for each individual person, mentioning specific points of interest you discussed with them.
Which goes back to the active listening.
Right. Now, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go ahead.
If I go on a first date and I text the person 10 minutes after I drop them off to say, had a great time, here are 3 things I loved about your pasta choice.
Oh, no.
I look frantic, right? I look desperate.
You do?
I understand sending a receipt for a great professional conversation, but doing it on the exact same day? Why the massive rush? Doesn't that reek of desperation in a corporate setting?
Well, in a normal, everyday social context, yes, it might seem rushed. But you have to remember the specific ecosystem you are trying to enter.
Right. Bank of America.
The financial industry, and Bank of America in particular, operates at a blistering pace. The velocity of decision-making is incredibly high. If you play it cool and wait 2 or 3 days to send a polite thank you note, the hiring committee may have already met, discussed the slate of candidates, made their decisions, and moved on to the next quarter's problems.
Wow. So you are literally racing against their internal clock.
You are beating the clock. But more importantly, it is a definitive demonstration of character.
How so?
Sending a customized, thoughtful note on the exact same day demonstrates hustle. It demonstrates an acute attention to detail.
Okay, I can see that.
It proves you can process a complex, high-stakes interaction, identify the key takeaways, and communicate them professionally and promptly. It ensures you remain top of mind before their memories of a long day of interviews just blur together.
Because they're interviewing so many people.
Exactly. And think about the reality of the job you're applying for. This follow-up process is a micro-simulation of how you would be expected to handle an important client.
Oh, wow.
If you just pitched a multi-million-dollar strategy to a client, you wouldn't wait 3 days to send a follow-up email. You would send it that afternoon.
Because if you can't be bothered to follow up on the same day for your own career, how can they trust you to do it for their most important accounts?
Exactly.
And the customization part is the final proof of everything we've talked about. You can't just copy and paste a generic, thanks for your time, I really want this job template.
No, delete those templates.
You have to synthesize the conversation. You have to write, I really appreciated your insight on how the new ESG protocols are shifting your specific workflow in the global markets division.
Yes.
It proves, one last time, that you are actively listening and that you understand their dialect.
It perfectly closes the loop. It takes all of that initial terrain mapping, all of the rigid technical alignment, and all of the active listening in the room, and packages it into one final, undeniable professional touchpoint.
We've gone on quite a journey today with this single piece of paper.
We really have.
We started by understanding the core mission and researching the executive leadership, watching Brian Moynihan on YouTube to catch the rhythm of the bank.
Setting the foundation.
Right. Then we built a cognitive spam filter, rigidly mapping our past experiential learning and coursework to 3 highly specific job responsibilities.
Bypassing the HR filters.
We built a behavioral blueprint, ensuring we diagnosed our weaknesses and provided a clear treatment plan to show a growth mindset.
No humble brags.
None. We practiced aggressive active listening to shift the dynamic from an interrogation to a peer conversation. And finally, we executed a flawless, customized, same-day follow-up to beat the corporate clock.
Looking at it holistically, it is abundantly clear that this document is not just a list of helpful tips or friendly suggestions.
No, it's way more intense than that.
It is a comprehensive behavioral framework. It demands absolute rigor, deep self-reflection, and highly proactive execution at every single step.
And that linked to a really provocative thought I want to leave you with as we wrap up this deep dive.
Let's hear it.
When we first look at a document like this Bank of America interview preparation sheet, it is very easy to view it simply as a study guide.
Sure, like a cheat sheet.
Right, we see it as a helpful tool designed to help you pass a test so you can get the job. But what if we shift our perspective? What if the rigorous, detailed, and incredibly proactive nature of this preparation is actually the very first test of the kind of professional you will be on the job?
Oh, that is the essential realization.
Yeah.
The way you prepare for the interview is the ultimate, unfiltered indicator of how you will perform the daily work. If you are meticulous, fiercely curious, and deeply aligned with their mission during the application process, they can trust that you will be meticulous, curious, and aligned when you are actually managing their resources and representing their brand.
You aren't just memorizing a few corporate facts to pass a generic test. You are actively learning the terrain, mastering the dialect, and adapting to the specific parameters of a highly complex ecosystem.
Exactly.
You are transitioning from an applicant with a generic resume hoping to get lucky to a candidate with a biometric scan proving you inherently belong in the building.
Perfectly said.
So, as you look at your own career trajectory and your own preparation for whatever comes next, ask yourself, are you just showing up hoping to answer a few questions, or are you doing the work to ensure you speak their language before you even walk in the room? Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.